Yo guys, what's good? And today I'm gonna be doing what if Deku was Kokushibo's descendant. Sorry I haven't uploaded in a while or like the entire of last week. I've been watching a lot of Kuroko no Basket, and I've been thinking about doing another what if, because if you guys OGs on my channel obviously knew that I did what if Deku had Emperor's Eye. I mean Naruto had Emperor's Eye. I'm thinking of doing one for Deku, but now that I'm more and more knowledgeable about it, I'm pretty sure I can do a lot better job. Because by the time I was doing the Naruto one, I was not completely sure I was gonna do it. It was pretty much like how I do these what ifs, pretty much on top of my head. But I didn't know much about the Emperor's Eye to begin with, and I also tried giving him this Keke Genkai about like lightning or something like that, which was supposed to be like his zone, but I messed up completely. So yeah. Also, some of you guys are wondering, why are you doing a Demon Slayer what if? Quite simply, Demon Slayer is one of my favorite animes. Also, it's been popping off a lot, so why not make some content about it? I was thinking about doing what if Deku was Kojiro, as you guys mostly know him as, Rengoku's reincarnation or descendant, but I decided not to because of the sole reason that I don't think I could actually pull that off properly. Plus, if you guys already, viewers on my channel already know that you guys already know that it's a lot easier for me to pull off, extremely cold and calm characters, or extremely bubbly and happy characters than it is to pull something like Rengoku, right? Even though he is, extremely kind and bubbly, he's difficult to understand in my case. Like, I just don't understand him as good as I would want to, right? So I'm not gonna do a what if about that. Anyways, let's get you guys here for way too long. Guys here for the what if. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Without further ado, play my intro. No, let's get straight into it. Pretty much, if you guys don't know who Kokushibo is, well, let me put this in first. I'm gonna put it in now. There's gonna be manga spoilers because I'm not sure season 2 is done yet because I have not checked. And I'm not sure you guys have been introduced to Kokushibo yet, so I'm gonna put it in right now. Manga spoilers. So if you guys want to watch it, that's fine. But if you guys also want to watch one of my other videos, I'll put it up in like the top right corner of whatever the video, and you guys can go watch that. It's most likely gonna be what if Deku was, the reincarnation. But anyways, pretty much, Kokushibo, or as his real name would be Michikatsu Tsutsuguni, would be upper rank 1, and he would be the second strongest demon. Period. He'd just barely fall behind Muzan, and let's just say this guy is overpowered. He would be a hybrid, like what was that? Like Daiki or something like that, Daiguki or something like that. And he would be able, not a hybrid, but he would be able to use breathing styles and a demon art too. So that'll be pretty amazing. And yeah, let's just say he's very overpowered to say the least. But Izuku's not gonna start overpowered, okay? Because he's gonna like grow into his power and all of that, yada yada yada. Anyways, now that's enough explaining. Let's get straight into the story. Izuku's gonna be born the exact same way, except in this one he's gonna have completely black hair and brown eyes. And that's pretty much it. From there on, he's gonna pretty much live his life up to canon. He's gonna be able to live like a bit more than an average person, but not by much, especially in this world where it's filled with quirks, right? So we just skip to the last day of high school. This is when the teacher would say, these are career papers to tell me what you guys want to do as your career. Then throw it up in the air, as he would say, but I know you guys all want to become heroes, as they're also using their quirks, except for this being obviously Izuku and Bakugo. Bakugo would then stand up and say, "Ha, teach, I'm not being the rest of these losers. They'll be lucky to even become sidekicks of some B-lister hero. I'm gonna be the best, the #1. So all you guys can just eat my dust. I'm going straight to UA." And it's like, UA? Wait, isn't that thing have like a 0.2% chance of getting in? And like all of that, right? This is when the teacher would then look down and say, "Oh, Midoriya, aren't you also trying to go to UA?" This is when everyone would turn their heads to Midoriya, and they would all start laughing at him as they would say, "Him, the quirkless? That's funny joke, teach." And this is when Bakugo would walk up to Izuku's desk and be like, "You damn Deku, How dare you even try to go to UA? You're even worse than the rest of these other rejects. You don't even have a power. This is when Izuku would say, but I can at least try. And this is when Ibaka would say, I dare you. And this is when the teacher would stop Bakugo just from him before he sends an explosion directly at Deku, right? It would reach the end of the day, and Izuku would be packing up his stuff, but this is when Bakugo would grab his notebook, burn it up like in cannon, and throw it out the window. He would then say, hey, how about this? I know where you can get a quirk. How about you just jump off a roof and hope for one in your next life? Then walk away. I still don't know how the hell this made it through to like canon. Cause god damn. Especially in like an anime, but like we have redo of a healer. So like shit. I should not put that down. Like I'm probably blur that word. Just because of how bad the anime is. I guess you guys don't know you guys know what really redo of a healer is. Then I'm gonna tell you right now. Warn everyone else not to watch it. But anyways, I need to stop going on off of this rant, right? Pretty much, Izuku would go head downstairs after feeling a bit sad because being those job off a roof. That's never easy, even if you are cold-hearted. So pretty much, grab his notebook, put it back in his bag, and he started walking. Realizing that it was quite late, he would end up taking a shortcut, and from there he got attacked by such a villain once again. From there he would get knocked out. But this is when, before he would hear a voice say, "Never fear, for I am here. Destroy to smash!" And of course, this would be All Might. He would then wake about 5 minutes later, and he would see that All Might would have already finished collecting such villains. Like, All Might? Somebody would be like, "Ah, young citizen, I have saved you from the villain. Anyways, I hope you have a good day." It's like, "Can you please sign my notebook?" And this is when he said, "Already done. Well, goodbye." And this is when he tried to jump off, right? But he's usually like in canon would hold on to his leg. And to say slightly, from there he would actually proceed to be carried onto the same rooftop as before, and Izuku would ask All Might whether or not he can over here without a quirk. All Might would then start to deflate. He would then explain about how he has this injury that lowers his time and all of that, and he would then explain that this is a rune that happens. If I didn't have a quirk, I would be dead. So no, kid, I don't think you can. At least not against any major villains. How about become a police officer or a firefighter? They still do decent work in this society. And he just walks off. Izuku would end up feeling this immense amount of pain in his core, right? It would almost be as if he just couldn't believe it. He was contemplating what Bakugo told him before he realized that he has a mom and all of that, and she would be devastated too. So he couldn't do that to her. Anyways, Izuku would end up going home and going to bed that night. When he goes to bed that night, he would actually see this man, or what he would assume to be a man. It would be a bit blurry at first, but after he would be able to get a clear view, it would be this man who looked to be in his early 20s. He would have completely black hair with red tips, a black and purple beehive kimono, beehive pattern nagagi kimono, and black umanori styled hakama pants, tied with a white cloth. He would carry this fleshy katana at the waist, and the tetsuka, which would actually be the handle, would seem to have eyes. So would the tetsuba, which is the hilt, and the blade would also seem to have eyes and veins. This would initially scare him, but what would actually scare him the most would be his eyes. He would have 3 pairs of eyes, the whites in them being red, and the irises being yellow. And in the middle of the set of eyes, he would see that on the right of the middle set, it would say upper rank, and on the left, it would say 1. This is when he would honestly just couldn't believe what was happening. He would just think he was having a nightmare. This is when the voice would say, "Ah, so you're my descendant. Come, sit." This is when the place they would currently be in would change to be one of that of like a shogi, or like Japanese style house, right? And there would seem to be like this shogi board on the table, and they would just play a game of shogi. As they would be talking, and he would say, "You, Izuku Midoriya, you are my descendant. I go by the name of Michikatsu Tsutsugumi, but I'm more commonly known as Kokushibo. Anyways, I see you want to become a hero. Why?" And this is when Izuku would then start to explain that it's been his life's dream to become a hero, to save people so that he could bring a smile on people's faces ever since he saw the debut of All Might. And this is when Kokushibo would ask, how far are you willing to go to become said hero? This is when Izuku would say anything to achieve my goal, anything to save one person, at least put a smile on someone's face. And this is when, surprisingly, Kokushibo would actually drop that cold facade, and he would actually gain the small smirk, as he would say, even if it meant becoming a hybrid, a demon. This is when he would be confused. It's like, a demon? And he's like, yes, I am a demon. Back in the olden era, there used to be people called demon slayers, and I was a demon. You see my eyes. They don't have upper rank 1 for nothing. There was 12 of us. It went from upper rank to lower rank, separated by 6. And as such, I'm the strongest demon there is, besides our master, the Demon King, Muzan. He's also dead. We're all dead. The Demon Slayers won. But that's not any of the problem. So tell me, are you even willing to become a hybrid of a demon and a human to become a hero, to gain enough power to save people? This is when Izuku would nod his head, and Kokushibo would be like, perfect. You seem to have the resolve, and your goal is a lot better than what mine was. Anyways, I'll train you these 10 months, and you shall gain power, not all of it immediately, but you shall start to grow, and eventually shall take my mantle as upper rank 1. This is when Izuku would immediately wake up, and as he did, he would feel his body start to change. Take in mind it would be 6 AM at this point, so he had like a decent night's sleep. But he'd feel his body growing. He would immediately grow from like 5'5" to like 5'9", 5'10", which is pretty tall, especially for an Asian person. I'm not being racist, okay? Like, especially for someone in like anime and all that, so that would be pretty tall. He'd also realize that his hair would seem to gain red tips, and he'd then look into a mirror he would have in his room, and he realized that his eyes, the whites in his eyes would end up being red, and he would seem to have yellow irises with no number in them. He didn't realize that. What happened? Wait, it wasn't a dream? So when you hear a voice in his head, I would say, it sure wasn't. Anyways, I need to ask you this. You see, do you feel this power? This is when Izuku would then look around and realize that everything would seem to be moving slower. He would seem to have more control over his body. He would just relatively seem stronger, more durable. He would feel powerful. He could feel like he could actually be a hero. This is when Kokushibo would ask, I only have one thing to request of you. Are you willing to disregard your last name and take up the last name of Tsutsuguni and continue my legacy? Legacy that my brother paved for us. This is when Izuku would just nod his head, because Midoriya would as you guys know, giving up your last name is actually a pretty important thing, because that's like your whole family and all of that. But Midoriya's dad, which is Sasashi, wouldn't have been around much, and Midoriya would have actually been his last name. They wouldn't have really cared much, so he would just nod his head, and this is when Kokushibo would say, congratulations. From now on, your name is no longer Izuku Midoriya, but Izuku Tsutsuguni. From there, Izuku would then proceed to faint, and yeah, pretty much as he'd wake up, you realize that he would have actually returned back to normal. Instead, he would still keep the height and all of that, but he would then realize that it probably wasn't all a dream. He would then hear a voice inside his head that says, anyways, we have to begin your training. Because you're somewhat demon now, you have a better regenerative factor than most humans. So we're gonna put you through intense workouts. So pretty much from the first month to the 3rd month, Izuku would have pretty much have been training physically. And during the 3rd month, he would have actually unlocked this weird flame pattern on the right of his cheek, coming from like his chest all the way to the right of his cheek, and it was on the top left corner of his head. This is when he would then be told by Kokushibo that this is actually Demon Slayer mark. But it wouldn't affect him, and most people would end up dying at 25, but because of him being half demon, he would actually end up living a lot longer. Stopping such curse, right? This is when she didn't show his mom's like, you got a tattoo, but you know his mom is Midori never got a tattoo. This is when Midori then tell her that he probably awakened his quirk and he was like a late bloomer. So they go to the doctor's office, and Izuku at this point would have learned the first form of moon breathing. This being moon breathing first form, Dark Moon Evening Palace, and he would have actually been able to also use Kokushibo's the Blood Demon art, which is crescent moon blades. He's able to make these crescent moon blades, and he's also able to change the speed and size of it. This is when he would go to the doctor and he register his quirk as Demon Slayer, because this would be kind of reminiscent of the stories that parents would have actually told their children about people with breathing techniques and all of that, and these marks on their heads and all of that. This is when they would name his quirk Demon Slayer. From there, it would pretty much be his moon breathing and his Demon Slayer mark. Anyways, for the next 7 months, he would have been training to pretty much master moon breathing, while also mastering the first phase of his demon form. If you guys noticed, when we went into his demon form, he looked a bit more like Kokushibo, but it wasn't a full transformation. This is because there's 2 stages, this being the demon form or demon transformation, and then this being upper rank 1, which turns him to look exactly like him. Anyways, during this time, Izuku would have actually gained a katana. This katana would be quite special, to say the least, okay? Pretty much, this katana would... It looked like a regular katana at first, correct? Because that's pretty much what it would be at first. But after a while, he would then start to explain to Izuku that this would actually be a special katana that would have been made by Sun Ore, this being a Nichiren. But it was also a bit different because Izuku had been testing out his flesh manipulation while he was in his demon transformation, and as such he would have ended up creating something sort of like Kokushibo's sword. So he would have ended up creating this transformative sword that reacted to whenever into demon form. So currently right now it would technically be this pretty much be this slim katana with a black handle and a white intricate diamond patterns and a golden pommel. It would have this, I would dare say, 4-leaf lotus hilts, I would guess, while also having the designs in like gold and black and yellow and white, sorry. And then the blade would be pure silver. But whenever he entered his demon form first transformation, it changed to look more like Kokushibo's katana. Not the one that's enlarged and has like multiple spikes, but just his regular, fleshy katana. From there, Izuku would be ready. He would have mastered the first 6 forms of pretty much moon breathing, and he would be ready. His demon slayer mark would give him enhanced abilities and such. He would feel like he would be able to conquer the world. From there, he would enter into the exam. His mom in this one wouldn't actually be as worried because he would have a quirk and all of that. But anyways, this is when Izuku would head up to the exam. He would be wearing his school uniform, I'm pretty sure, because that's what he wears to like these initiations. He'd be wearing his school uniform, and he wouldn't bump into Bakugo, and he also would not trip because he would end up being a lot more confident. And forgot to mention, Izuku's personality would also gotten a lot colder because of him being, taught by Kokushibo. Because even though Kokushibo changed a lot, because if you guys know how he died, you guys know that he made like a lot of character development. But you guys also know that he's still a cold person on the way. It's just in his being, right? So he would have ended up teaching Izuku proper demeanor mannerism, and as he walked, everyone could just feel that this guy was dignified, as if he was royalty itself. He would feel this powerful presence that just radiated off of him in waves. From there, Izuku would pretty much sit down in his seat and end up sitting beside Bakugo, right? Bakugo would try getting pissed at Izuku, but Izuku would just end up ignoring him. From there, we would actually have the written exam, right? Kokushibo would have, told Izuku to practice, to study a lot, and because, as a demon, one of the perks, one of Kokushibo's perks particularly, is that he has enhanced perception. not enhanced memory, but enhanced perception, right? So Izuku could read a lot faster. So she studied a lot, and such he would get at least 2nd place on the entrance exam. From there, he would end up going to the practical exam, and President Mike would end up studying the robots, right? Playing the 1, 2, and 3 pointer. Before he can get out to the 0 pointer, he would end up being interrupted by this decently tall kid with blue hair and glasses. He would end up saying, "I see a solo of a 4th robot. This is a mistake on UA's part. I'm severely disappointed." This is when he would then say, "Calm down, little listener. This is a 0 pointer. It's more of an obstacle, so I suggest you avoid it." Anyways, this is when he then announced the practical exam, and Izuku would be put into his zone, right? Izuku would have ended up wearing the same tracksuit that he wore in canon, except it actually replaced the green, like the light green, like teal green, with like purple, and then the white with like black, and that's pretty much what he's wearing. Also, be able to fit into it a lot better than Izuku would be, and he would also have a katana on deck. This is when he would sense someone, right? Because as a demon slayer, or just as a demon generally, he'd be able to sense people pretty easily, especially if they weren't trying to hide their presence. He'd end up feeling someone trying to touch him from behind, right? So obviously he would sidestep, and this is when you see the same kid who tried, who talked up to President Mike, right? When he would say, "You're not allowed weapons," and this is when Izuku would obviously reply, "I'm not sure you understand. This weapon is part of my quirk, and as such, I don't like that you're making assumptions." This is when Ida would obviously feel a bit bashful and embarrassed and would just back off. From there, President Mike pretty much opened the gates, and everyone would look confused up until Izuku would realize almost immediately and rush directly, right? He would have pretty much at this point been able to use regular breathing, but not constant. Because even though he's a demon and he can push himself to the limits and regenerate, he still can't seem to get the constant breathing. Also, he's only at like the large gourd. Like he's at the large gourd now. That breath training, so he's at like the large gourd, but he just can't break it yet. So like, yeah. Anyways, Izuku would end up running pretty fast, almost as fast as Ida actually. But he's not going to, because 1, he's slightly holding back to not exhaust himself immediately, and 2, there's no reason to. Anyways, he would officially meet up the first robot, and instead of drawing his time, he would actually just punch it. This would actually cause the robot to sort of cave in, and it would then fall over, and as he ran away, it would then explode in the distance. And he said, "Okay, that's an easy 3 points. Let's get some more." We would time skip about 5 minutes, and this is when we would go into the observation room, right? We would then see a bunch of teachers pointing out students that they liked and how good they were. This is when Aizawa would have ended up catching this person in this black and purple tracksuit. This is when he would ask he would pretty much ask Nezu, "Hey, who's this kid?" This is when Nezu would say, "Ah, his name is Izuku Midoriya. Recently it was changed to Izuku Tatsuguni. Not exactly sure why. Probably has a bad relationship with his father. Anyways, he seemed to have just recently awakened his quirk, having it been called Demon Slayer. He's able to use these weird sword techniques while also having this mark on his forehead and from his chest to his neck that seems to enhance his physical power. He seems to currently have 98 points. That's pretty impressive, especially since he hasn't drawn a sword once this entire match, or this entire exam. But everyone would be surprised. It's like 98 points already? The exam just barely started. This is when he would say, "Anyways, let's see how they handle this." As he then started drinking his coffee and he pressed the red button. And as you guys all know, red buttons in anime are never a good sign. And as such, we head back to the exam. Izuku at this point would have actually sped up his accumulation of points because he felt like he was lagging behind a bit, and he would have gone 150 at this point. At this time, he would feel the floor under him quake, and as such, he would immediately run away, and not run away, but immediately back up, right? And as he did, you see that at least 50 meters in front of him, he would see this massive robot come out the ground, right? And crash into this wall. This would then cause Rebel to fall onto this girl who was also trying to get away, falling onto her ankle. This is when Izuku would hear everyone else running, and at first we didn't know what to do, but this is when you hear a voice in his head that then say, "Isn't your goal to be a hero?" I can't believe you actually thought of running away. Aren't you my descendant? Person who's gonna carry on my legacy. How are you gonna be scared of such a robot? And if such, why is it scaring you away from your goal? If you want to become a hero, face it a mano a mano. Show it who's boss. Show me that you're worthy to carry on the legacy of the Tsuguni clan. This is when Izuku would then immediately gain this cold expression, right? As he would gain this determined look in his eyes. And he would immediately put both his hands on the sword, one hand on the handle, one hand on the sheath, right? He would then start running and he would jump. And as he does, he would calmly say, "Moon breathing, first form, dark moon evening palace." Pretty much this breathing technique is pretty much just him swiftly swinging his sword in a horizontal motion, which is, you know, sideways. And he would then proceed to use demon's art to create numerous of chaotic crescent blades, right? Now, this would not only cut the 0 pointer's head directly in half, but also cause a whole lot of scratches on its head, completely destroying it and leaving the body not unscattered. He would then proceed to use the buildings as a way to get down slowly, lift off the rebel off the girl, and take her back to Recovery Girl. Everyone in this observation would be surprised at the amount of power and finesse and precision he was able to use with a sword, especially since he only awakened his quirk what seems to be 7 months, no, it's like 7 months ago. And this is when everyone would realize, this guy, he's strong, he has potential. And Aizawa would immediately say, "I want him in my class." Just by looking at him, I can tell he's going to become something great, a monster. This is when Nezu would just continue to smile while rapidly drinking his tea while also pouring it, right? He'd end up, now let's get back to, the entrance exam. As Yuku got Ochako to the Recovery Girl, he would ask for her name. She'd always reply Ochako or Raka, he would reply Izuku Tsuguni, and he would then proceed to hand her off to the Recovery Girl and tell her that he hopes she gets better, right? End up going home and he ended up telling his mom that he thinks he did pretty well, and he's hoping for the best. 2 weeks would end up passing, and this is when they would end up getting a letter from UA High. From there, this is when they would open it up. Izuku would open it in front of his mom, unlike in canon, because I still don't get why they didn't open it in front of his mom. But yeah, open in front of his mom, and this is when All Might would appear saying, young Tsuguni. It's nice to see that you've grown since the last time I saw you. It seems that you were a late bloomer. I'm sorry for saying you couldn't be a hero. Anyways, you, Izuku Midoriya, got a pretty decent score on the written exam, having gotten 2nd place, but not talking about the practical exam. In villain points, you got 150, which by itself put you on top and put you in top place. But that wasn't all there was to the exam. What was something else? Rescue points. And for saving that girl while also disposing of the villain successfully, you've gained 60 rescue points, adding up to a total of 210 points, having been a new UA record. Congratulations, Izuku Midoriya, and I welcome you to your Hero Academia. That's pretty much where I'm going to end it off, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is going to be What If Deku was Kokushibo's descendant. Part 1, obviously. I hope you guys enjoyed this one a lot. I loved doing this one. This is probably going to be one of my new what ifs, like I said before. It's going to be a reboot and all of that. Pretty much. I hope you guys enjoy. And because this is going to be part of my reboot, I should probably get like a new catchphrase instead of peace out, shouldn't I? Yeah, I got it. Stay cold, stay frosted. Peace.